Hello, and welcome back to Automate Live. My name is Jana Martin. I'm the Media Production Manager at A3, and I'm joined by a committee of safety standards experts. Next to me is Carole Franklin, the A3 Director of Robotics Standards Development and the Working Secretary of a new exciting group we'll talk about later. Maren Roush is down at the end of the table. She is the Manager of Standards Developments for Robotics at A3. Next to her is Kevin Reese, the Principal Robotics Safety Engineer at Agility Robotics. And finally, in the center, we have Roberta Nelson Shea, the Global Technical Compliance Officer at Universal Robots. To start off, if you don't know already, there's been a new safety standard released this year, the ISO 10218. And this is an international standard that sets safety requirements for industrial robots, covering both the robots themselves and their integration. Now, why is this important? Why now? What's exciting about this?
Well, the previous edition was released in 2011. It's been 14 years. A lot has happened in 14 years, a lot of technological changes. And then there's this small little thing called we're supposed to update it every 5 years. Or say nothing has changed, everything is great.
And just for those who maybe don't know, why are these so important? Again, can you just reiterate that?
Within the industrial robot arena, meaning the waving arms or the picking and placing arms, the robot safety standards are adopted all around the world. So we have, if you're making robots, you meet one standard all around the world. And if you're integrating robots, there's one standard for all around the world. And so this hits the whole world. And we all have to step up to the new requirements and comply with the new requirements and explain the new requirements to everybody. So it's a brave new frontier.
Exactly. And you can get those standards on the A3 website if you don't already have them. But with that said, let's switch gears and talk about something new that you all are involved in. And this is going to be called the ISO 257851. Got a lot of numbers there, but Kevin, start us off. What does this mean? What is this for?
Yeah, so the title of the standard is Safety Requirements for Industrial Mobile Robots with Actively Controlled Stability. And what that means is it could be robots that have legs for mobility. It could be robots that have wheels that need some sort of active control to maintain their stability. So that could be 2 wheels. It could be 1 wheel. It could be 3 wheels in a row. So there's a big gap in the standard market right now. And we're really excited about having this standard pass in ISO so that we can fill this gap.
Yeah, it's time. It's more than time, right? Yeah. So this is a brand new standard in the early stages. Can you help us understand what the process of getting to the standard is from the start? Yeah, Carole?
You have all day.
So we see a need. So we see a need in the marketplace. There's a gap. And so then, we have volunteers that say, I'll help shape this proposal. And for this particular proposal, that was Boston Dynamics, Federico Vicentini, and Kevin from Agility. And they helped shape the proposal. They helped present it to the TC, the ISO Technical Committee. And basically, they've done a lot of work behind the scenes to get it to the starting line, which is where we are now. And now we actually have to do the work.
Now you have 3 years, to do the work.
3 years. And so what are the next steps?
So we're currently working on the working draft, which will be distributed in the next couple weeks to the committee members that have said that they want to participate. So if you are interested in participating, please reach out to myself or Carole or Federico and let us know that you want to participate so we can add you to the list. And then we'll distribute the working draft to the committee members and get feedback from them. So there'll be a ballot with comments so that then we can improve it from what we already have.
One important note, though.
Oh, great. I love it.
If you're interested, act now. Because that first ballot that goes around for comments, the comments will shape the priorities that you move forward on, because the clock starts and it just ticks away. Somebody who comes in 6 months later and said, oh, you missed this. It will be, you'll have to wait for the next revision. We're too far along.
Right.
So if you have any interest or need, get involved right now and comment.
Yeah, and Roberta is actually the chair of the U.S. committee. And so if you're a U.S. person, you would contact me or Roberta to say that you want to be added to this working group. If you're from another country, you can work through your national committee and get added to this working group.
Excellent. Now let's talk a little bit more about why did you all decide to broaden the scope of this beyond just humanoids?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
So we felt that humanoids, not calling it humanoids is a confusing term because to different people, it means different things. So we felt that also just addressing that didn't fill the market need that we have today. And the problems are similar enough that we could do it all in one standard. So this way we can accommodate and the overall problems for safety are the same and address them all with one uniform standard all at one time.
Okay, and that leads me perfectly into the next question, which is what are the problems? What are the risks? What are the scenarios that we're trying to address with this?
I'll take that also.
This is your world.
Yeah. So with traditional functional safety, the safe reaction for the components is for them to turn off. For robots that are dependent on their stability, when you turn them off, it means they fall down. So you're actually creating hazards as opposed to preventing them. And so because of that, you have to change your thinking and mentality and come up with a plan of how to deploy these robots safely so that they don't injure people.
And so that you don't have a sudden loss of power.
Well, and exactly right. Yeah. So you have to do your FMEDA and consider all of the different reactions of the components based on the failures that could be dangerous and address those. So that's something that we'll be doing in the standard. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, 12 countries, I believe, are already involved. Can you share a little bit more about the way that you work internationally with other groups to make sure that it's globally accepted?
I'll answer that because I'm the oldest person in the group here. What happens is you have meetings and they're held in various different places around the world so that you can give an equal opportunity to each of these regions to be able to participate in person. Yes, there are virtual meetings, but to be really honest, in order to have very good discussions and breakout sessions, being in person makes a world of difference. Virtual meetings work great for reporting out or a very teeny topic, but not so much. We have a whole standard to write, and where do we start? So these meetings will be scheduled around the world, figuring out timing of ballots and so forth, which is itself its own magical element. But you need to move around the world, and you need to remember English is a second language for most people who participate.
Right.
That's
and the
true.
language of the standards is critically important. Does anyone want to talk about that and why that matters and the whole, translating things and yeah.
I'll start and then you can jump in. We the standards are developed in English, and so those of us who are from the US are incredibly spoiled by that.
Well, but it's British English.
It's British English, but it's English. And so
you have to use your OUs.
Yeah. And as Roberta mentioned, a lot of the people who are in these meetings with us are helping develop the standard in what's not their native language, and they're just tremendously capable and impressive individuals, frankly, because it's hard enough to have these conversations in one's native language.
Exactly.
But in standards, it's the precision of how you state something is very important. And honestly, if you take a look at a standard, I would say every word in the standard has been debated multiple times, including the and. And
they're not small documents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which maybe is why it takes more than a couple years sometimes.
It also means the last pages are the worst.
Everyone's tired of proofing it at that point.
That's right.
Okay, so Carole, from A3's perspective, why is this work so important in the North American market?
Well, so as Roberta mentioned, all of these countries around the world and a lot of our companies are multinational companies. Yeah. And so we have a policy and a strategy actually of doing the work first in the international sphere. So that's why we prioritize putting this proposal forward in ISO. And what we're going to do is when it's published in ISO, we're going to bring it back to the US as a national adoption, which is actually what we're doing with 10218.
And have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke about this a few minutes ago. It is so important to have a standard be the same around the world because not only are there global users, there's global manufacturers. You have one design, you have one product that you can ship around the world, and all that matters is wherever power comes to it, let's say for a charger or whatever, that is the only thing that gets adapted for that country and their power grid, whereas everything else is the same. And it results in great cost savings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we think back to just even electrical connectors, and every time we have to go someplace, we've got to look up what is the adapter to bring, and do I need to have a transformer to go with it, or is this going to be okay? And compare it now to what we see with USB-C. Nobody said, what's the US's version of USB-C? It's super important if we can have a common ground so that we can have savings that goes all the way through to make sure that we have robotics that are usable by all.
Without conflicting requirements.
Without conflict. And if there's two different ways to say it, they mean two different things.
That's right.
Right. And now there's going to be a part 1 and a part 2 of this. Is that correct? Do you know much of the details about that?
So far, we're thinking that's true, that there'll be one for the robots themselves and robot manufacturers, and then one for as it's deployed. But until we get further into the development, it's really hard to say.
Yeah. And that structure is actually based on what we've done for the 10218. So we learned a lot in the work that's been done on 10218. And the reason that ISO is in ISO, we break it up into part 1 and part 2 is because the manufacturer can meet one set of requirements. They may not necessarily control what the integrator is going to do. And so the integration has its own set of requirements. Did you have anything more to...
No, that was perfect. That was perfect.
It's because I copied you.
I was going to ask Kevin the same question I asked Carole. From Agility's perspective, why is this so important as a manufacturer of humanoid and other robots?
Yeah, so it's really important for us as a business to be able to prove that what we're doing is sufficient and safe. It'd be nice for all the manufacturers to be heading towards the same target. Yeah. So from our perspective, we're really excited about the work. We understand it won't be the way that we do it. It's going to be the way that the community does it, because it's a consensus standard. So we're looking for input from everybody to make sure that we can all move in the same direction.
Awesome.
We look forward to seeing you on that tomorrow.
We're here live at Automate.
And the show is over.
As you can hear, it's the end of the day here. But we will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern with more interviews. Thank you all for this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jana.